Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Happy Sunday to all of you. My voice is a little bit off today because I'm trying not to give in to the weather. So if I sound a little bit like that, apologies. But I have some interesting topics for you. I hope you will appreciate it. Those of you who are new to my channel, I want to let you know that on Sundays I usually record a little different videos. I started doing this a few weeks ago and many of my viewers are quite okay with this. That's why I keep on doing those videos, recording them, because today I will bring to you a topic of, let me tell you what is this, War Scroll. That will be in the second part of this video, but we will start this video with a news that very few people know about. You know, we just had the meetings in New York City and United Nations not long time ago, last month. It was the Summit for the Future. It is called the UN Summit of the Future. And during the summit, there were the decisions, the agreements, the pledges, and the commitments which were made during those meetings that will impact all of our lives. Every one of us, pretty much. Many people have no idea that this is happening. They are quite complacent because they are busy with their lives, working hard, paying the bills, trying to survive, which is again intentional. So they don't know about this, they are not aware of the changes and the social engineering that is being attempted, that is being proposed, and in some cases being already implemented, and is going to impact all of our lives between now, which is 2024, until 2030. You know the agenda. So this summit, there were 56 pledges that all the member nations agreed to. Here makes me wonder how Russia is part of it. I would like to know this. I'm actually very, very interested in this. And those pledges were covering 5 different themes. Those themes are sustainable development, for example. And you know, they are doubling down now on those pledges, using them as continuing or enforcing the Agenda 2030, which has, that Agenda 2030 has 17 sustainable goals. Just side note, they are not getting anywhere with those goals. They are actually behind in the timeline, and they are only 10% accomplished. So they only accomplished 10% of those goals, 17 sustainable goals from the 2030 agenda, and only 6 years left. So now they came up with this Summit for the Future, and they are using this to double down on those other areas like international peace and security, science and technology, youth and future generations. And there is another one, which is the fifth one, that brought to my mind the movie The Fifth Element. You know which one? With Bruce Willis. And the fifth one is the global governance. So on the surface they all sound beautiful, as usually, just like those 17 sustainable development goals of the 2030 agenda. But there is the fine print. How are they going to achieve those goals becomes quite concerning, because, as you know, that, for example, food security sounds like something that will help people to produce food, but not really. On the contrary, as you know, they are driving those farmers out of the business. The corporate farms are coming in, sweeping in, buying up huge amounts of land. Just like I said in few videos ago, what's gonna happen to those lands that have been affected now by the Hurricane Helene? We say Helena in Polish. And for example, a year ago in Hawaii, right? So when those corporate farms take over those lands, they are implementing GMO policies, creating food that is not really good for us. So here is the question. Are they legally binding this future summit, those pledges, with the 2030 agenda? And it looks like they are not, but the way they are doing this is the pledges tie into pre-existing policies that are legally binding, that are tying it right into the so-called UN Charter. So they connect this in a way, this way or the other, and the UN Charter is legally binding. So this summit is tying into policies linked to the UN Charter. Most people have no idea this is going on. This took place in New York just, a week ago? Less than 2 weeks ago? The Summit for the Future, everyone. And where did I came with those words? From who I got it? Well, before I go to the second topic of this video, which will be the main topic of this video, this is my intention. Throughout my life, especially living in the United States, when I was coming to the point of being fed up with working for the high-end luxury brands and the consumption culture that I bought into, I was seeking for form of, I would say, refuge or understanding on the deeper level about life and energy and spirit and God and quantum physics. And I came across of many books, many teachings, the whole New Age trend. I think it's also created to confuse people, to make people, I don't really think, connect to God, to the spirit. And there are very few teachers that I put in a high respect, and I find them to be the most genuine, authentic, and truly representing humanity in its finest. Of course, I don't know those people personally, but sensing by their energy and also the consistency of their teachings and what they talk about, there are only 3 men that I really put in this category that I trust, and I don't question that much. Is Joe Dispenza, that I have mentioned to you before, is Gregg Braden, and is Bruce Lipton. They are all friends, actually, as a matter of fact, and I have attended one of the seminars of Joe Dispenza many years ago in Arizona. Gregg Braden, actually, by education, he is a scientist. So you have someone who has enormous knowledge, but is also very deeply connected to the ancient knowledge too, not just scientific knowledge. Someone who resonates the energy and is very, you simply feel good when you're listening to him. And this morning when I was preparing the video for you, I was thinking to myself, since I don't want to force those videos, I don't want to force another prophecy from someone that you might not be interested in at all. And I said, I haven't really listened to Gregg Braden for quite some time. So I looked for his latest videos, interviews, and that's where the topics I have for you come from. I have requested an interview with Gregg Braden while back, but since I believe my channel became mainly geopolitical and news and updates, that's why I think he didn't want to be part of it. However, I will try again, because now I am shifting, especially on Sundays, into the direction that I truly enjoy bringing to you. So, let me quote to you what Gregg Braden said from one of his latest interviews. Actually, it's a combination of his words, and he mentions something that I was not aware of. And this touches on the battle we are in between good and evil, the spiritual battle, and it's something actually very real. This is not just an idea. Let's start with this. We are at the close of a great cycle of time. There is unsustainable world that is buckling and collapsing while a new world is emerging, and there are two forces. There are forces of good and evil, very real good and evil, not just the metaphors, but very real good and evil. That there are some people, they don't want us to embrace our humanness. They don't want us to embrace our divinity, because when we do, that's when we are in our power. We are no longer locked in the fear that keeps us vulnerable to the ideas of other people, that keeps us susceptible to the agendas of other people, like the 2030 Agenda, for example. This is the battle. It is an ancient battle that is unfolding in our lives, and it is a fundamental battle between good and evil. The Dead Sea Scrolls, which are the oldest records of the Old Testament, they were discovered in 1946 and 1947 in Qumran. Let me see if I wrote this down correctly. I think I did. I think it's called Qumran, which is in the Holy Land. It's a place in the Holy Land in the area of Israel and Jordan. Even though they were discovered in 1946-47, the translations were not allowed to the public until 1991. So 45 years there was no translation in spite of the discovery. So what can possibly be in those 2,500 plus years old scrolls that would have such an influence on our lives today, that we can't share it with the public in the 20th and now in the 21st century? And you can't make this stuff up. Interestingly enough, the answer was found on the first day of the excavation in the first cave, cave number 1 in Qumran, and the first scroll that was found in the first vase that was there, and is called the War Scroll. W-A-R, War Scroll, and it describes an ancient battle that we are currently living, and if you don't know about it, sometimes you don't recognize that it's actually happening. But the exact words in those scrolls, it is a battle between what they call the sons of darkness and the sons of light. And that battle will play out until the end of our cycle in time, and we are close to the end of that cycle. It describes 7 battles in total. 3 of them won by the sons of darkness, and 3 of them won by the sons of darkness, 3 of them won by the sons of light, so equal, and that is 6. The 7th one is won by the sons of light, but through the intervention of the divine forces and human divinity. And in other words, it is by awakening the full extent of our own power that we transcend this battle between the sons of darkness and the sons of light. They didn't want people to know it. And Greg continues. The idea of battle, when people think of this, that this is the idea that 2 forces are opposing and one of them has to be stronger than the other one to prevail, is not what this battle is. If you want to fight this battle between good and evil on those terms, you get stuck in the ancient trap that keeps us locked into the battle. We don't want to win. We want to triumph. And there is a difference between winning by opposing the forces and triumphing by transcending the rules of the battle itself. So here, before I continue, you know what came to my mind? This explained to me why Russia is reacting a certain way. And again, this being said while there are Russian forces fighting on the ground with Ukrainian forces. But I'm talking on another level, another scale. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being poked into the nuclear war. It's just my way of understanding, but I might be wrong. So the question is, how do we triumph in the battle between the sons of darkness and the sons of light? And the good news is that you don't even have to know that this battle is happening. We triumph by living the best version of ourselves. When we live in the deep truth and the full truth of what it means to be human, and we laugh without fear, and we forgive without expectation of something coming back to us, then we can imagine and innovate and create without being afraid of what we are imagining, innovating and creating. When we can share our gifts in this world, that is how we triumph. Because the sons of darkness don't want us to do that. They want to prevent us from those fully human expressions. So in that fundamental battle between good and evil, that is playing out using fear as a tactic, and we, as humans, are wired to overcome that fear through our natural biology, because our biology tunes us into the place in the field. Now let's talk about what field he means. There is a journal of complementary and alternative medicine that came out a few years ago, and it said that the human heart, the neural network in the human heart, is literally linked to a field of information that is not bound by the laws of time, space, and physics as we know it today. There is a part of us, our physical humanness, our heart, that is an antenna that tunes us to a field of information where time and space are meaningless. This is why a mother in Australia can have a son on the battlefield in Afghanistan and know that his vehicle has hit an IED and he is in trouble before his commanding officer knows, because she called the commanding officer and said, "I just had a feeling that my son is in trouble." And the commanding officer said, "No, he's on a routine patrol. Everything is fine." She says, "No, it is not." So how does that happen? We call it intuition. Now we are beginning to understand that we are capable of functioning in a realm where distance makes no difference, and the future and the past and the present are simultaneous. Sorry, I mispronounced again. So that's why our humanness is so important. This is where there is a battle for. This is why there is a battle for our humanness. So all the stuff that we are seeing happening in the world today, wars, potential nuclear war, religious wars, we have the families, we have the bonds of the families being broken intentionally, the bonds between men and women, between blacks and whites, between Christians and Muslims, Jews and Muslims, and between the genders. All those things are happening by design to break the social bond that holds us together, so that we become lost and fearful and willing to relinquish our humanness in favor of the technology. When we relinquish that humanness, we relinquish our divinity, and we become vulnerable to the ideas and the agendas of others. I'm gonna attach the videos down below in the description box. I have to tell you that those are very important words. I'm not gonna read you the entire war scroll because it's written in a very ancient language, has been translated, but it's very ancient language. I found the original document that I will attach down below as well if you want to read it. We are in the final stage of this war. So I believe, I don't know exactly if it goes 3 won by the dark, 3 won by the light, and then we won overall, or if it goes, how is the direction? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. We are in the final stages. I think that's why we show up here, and I think this is our role. And my intention on this channel is to connect with you guys and to share as much information I come across. Sometimes in my videos, I know it might sound very fearful and very terrifying, but at the end of the day, I look at everything from a different standpoint and different perspective, because I know that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I would like to know your thoughts on this. the story has already been written, and we are reliving it in a way. It's very, very fascinating to be living in those times that are not easy at all. But we will go through this together, and I know that I connect with many of you on the heart level, and that is the most important thing for me in my life. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for hitting this like. If this kind of videos bring you any value or peace or understanding or change your perspective or open your mind or make you inspire you to make different decisions in life, thank you for hitting the like, commenting, sharing, subscribing to my channel. I want to thank each and every one of you who supports me on Locals, Patreon, and leaves the donation on PayPal or buy me a coffee. And that's it. Lots of love. And remember, we are the leading edge and we are saving humanity. Bye everyone.